I see the live stream working now. Pros, happy Thursday. Welcome to Pro Power Hour. My name is Chris Weldon. I'm one of the community managers with the House Call Pro team. And this is something we do every Thursday at this time. You can think of this as a product training webinar. Perfect opportunity for you to ask questions, get refreshers, learn a bit more about the platform if you need to. We take a topic, usually a feature or a couple of different products inside House Call Pro, give you a full overview, kind of go over all the benefits to using said product or features, and give you a demo and answer your questions. As House Call Pro evolves, we'll continue doing this thing. We've been doing this for I think a little over 2 years now, and we've got a whole recording library available. So if you are interested in watching any past sessions, if you're new, you have new employees, all of those are really beneficial. I hear from a lot of pros that this is how they learn. Actually, hear from employees at House Call Pro that this is how they learn a little bit too. So it kind of works for everybody. I'll drop the link to that in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, I'll be monitoring the comments there as well. Encourage you to sign up, join us on Zoom. You'll be informed about what the upcoming topics are. But today we're going to talk about price book. I've seen a lot of different questions, inquiries, and woes posted in the Facebook groups over the last couple months. So I've been meaning to get this on the books for us. We've got Phil here with us. He's one of our onboarding specialists. He joins us almost every week. He's really the driver here. So Phil, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, sounds good. Welcome back, y'all. If this is not your first time with us, welcome if it's your first time. So, yeah, today we're going to focus on the price book. I told actually a lot of my new accounts that I came through this week to join today's session. So, if you are here, welcome to your first power hour. But yeah, today we're going to focus on the price book. We have made a couple of improvements to it. There's some things that I'll be able to show that you might not be able to see yet. I'll try and call some of these things out. And also, I'm probably going to avoid going deeper into those because we're going to have more sessions as more of these start to come as these features start to come out. I'm kind of one of the first people around here to get some of these things, and so I get a lot of feedback from my pros going, how do I get that? And it's just it's coming. But everybody has their price book, so we're going to go ahead and take things back to basics. Just going to do a little bit of a slide deck here. It's not too long. We're just kind of go ahead and pointing out what's within the price book and what changes have been made. And then we'll go ahead and start to demo these things. So, first, just kind of what is the price book, customizing the price book, new features, and as I mentioned, demo and Q&A afterwards. So, what is the price book? I'm sure everybody here has some familiarity with our price book or have used a price book in the past, but it's where you can go ahead and keep all of your services in there. If you do flat rate pricing, we can have our services include our labor rates, include our materials with those material markups, so that we can just give our customer one particular flat rate service price. We also do have a material price book so that if you do time and materials, or if you like to add any additional parts or appliances or units that need to be added as their own line items, we certainly do have a material price book as well. It has the same functionality, but it's obviously where we keep our materials. As the slide points out, services and materials auto-populate with descriptions when we go ahead and put them into our estimates and into our invoices. So basically, what I mean by that is if we put it in there, our description within the price book, when we do upload it to our documents, it's going to take that description and upload that as well. Adjusting pricing as needed for each job based on your own pricing structure. So you can do that within your price book, or as I've demonstrated in the past, is that we can adjust our pricing on the fly. But since today we're going to focus on the price book, we're going to talk about how you can just adjust the pricing using the service price adjuster or by creating separate categories with different pricing. So talking a little bit about that is simply customizing the price book. When I've onboarded people for Profit Rhino over here, because as Chris, or I'm sorry, as we've discussed in the past, our Profit Rhino, that is an option within our price book. That is our pre-made flat rate price book. And so with customizing your own book, that's what you get within the House Call Pro price book. You get to get as granular as you want on your particular flat rate items and your material items. Whereas the Profit Rhino price book, yeah, it'll live in house call if you do get it, but it's really its own turnkey kind of price book where you just put in your labor rates and your material markups. I've done sessions on these in the past, so if you are interested in the Profit Rhino, be sure to go to our library and check out some of the sessions we did on it in the past. But in terms of customizing your price book, as you can see here, we can edit our service price book descriptions, which I just talked about a little earlier, so that when we put it into our estimate or invoice, it's going to populate with that description. Enter your service pricing so you can go ahead and put in what it costs you as well as what you're going to be charging your customer. Adding the new services, just really as its title or however you want with the description. And then you also have the ability to add an image if you want to. So some of the additional features and integrations that have come with our price book is just the price book that we start everybody off with when you first get your account. We give everybody kind of like a starting point. That's the best way I've described it as a place for you to kind of start with your price book. It's got a lot of generic categories and subcategories with services that already have descriptions, and really all you have to do is just put in your pricing for it. Flat rate pricing, as I mentioned earlier, we can switch our book over to flat rate pricing to put in materials and labor to create flat rate services, which I will demo towards the end. Profit Rhino integration, as I mentioned, we did do this on a different session, but as I just kind of discussed, when I talk about flat rate pricing, we'll talk a little bit more about Profit Rhino and how that works together. Service descriptions via AI. So as you will see when we get into my price book is that for those descriptions, instead of us having to figure out what we want to go ahead and put in there, we can just use the AI button, put in a little bit of a prompt, and then it will go ahead and give us a nice professionally written description. Pricing forms. We've also talked about this before, and we've done sessions for this as well. But we're going to recover that because that is part of the price book. I see it mostly for cleaning companies. There are a couple of other industries that find use for it, but it's really just a form that we can tailor with certain items, and then we can just go ahead and put in our quantities or our selections, and then it will start to give us our pricing. One thing I know that looks like it didn't make the list here, but it's still fairly new. And again, this is probably something I'm not going to go too far in depth on it, but you're going to see it. Is also a new feature within our price book is where you can set up whether a service or material is going to be commissioned. I have a feeling that we're going to do a whole, because we did a huge upgrade and improvements to our commissions. I'm sure we're going to do another session coming up here soon once that's all kind of through all of our testing phases. So you all get to see that. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of this stuff in real time. So I'm going to pull up my account over here. And if this is your first time seeing the new interface, definitely feel free to check out the session we did last week because I went over all the way that the new interface looks over here. So I know a lot of you still have the old version. Again, you guys should be getting the new layout pretty soon here. So for the price book, for people using the old version, it's usually going to be this tab up here at the top. But for people with the new interface, it's going to be down here at the bottom left. It's still going to take us to the same place where it's going to bring us to our different industries. So speaking of industries, I do get this question all the time is, can I add my own industry? This is kind of starting at the top of the price book, and we're going to go all the way down through it, and then we'll talk about all the settings towards the back end. But at least in here, when it comes to industries, the answer is no. Really, as I mentioned, we give you a sort of pre-populated price book. So you can grab any one of these industries. And as I mentioned, we'll give you a couple of categories and services that are very generic so that and tailored to these particular industries so that that way you have a place to kind of start when building your price book. Example of that is if we're looking at my heating and air conditioning book over here. Notice that when we click into it, there are a couple of these that were already in there from before. I want to say probably about these six right here, and probably a couple of these down here. But what you can do is you always can create categories within your own price book because, again, as I mentioned with the House Call Pro one, you can get as granular as you want. So what I did in my particular price book is, as you can see right here, I have a category for online booking. Now we've done a couple of sessions on online booking before, and what I find is beneficial for this is for my online booking, I have one specific menu that I only want my customers to pick from instead of being able to access my entire price book when they're trying to book appointments and services. I only want them to book the ones that are in this particular category. So that's one way to start thinking of how you can utilize your price book if you haven't thought of this before. Another thing is like over here, air conditioner with commissions. I was talking with one of my accounts. I want to say this was a couple years ago, but they wanted to essentially pass like their commissions over to their customers. And so what we did is we created a particular category here and just increase the prices based on the commission rates. Notice it did the same thing over here with the credit card fee. So that's another option where if we want to pull from a particular category within our price book that has all of our pricing with that credit card fee already included, that's a great way to think of it so that when customers are saying, I'm going to pay with a credit card, we can go ahead and pull the service from here. Or there is another way we can adjust this in the price book. I'm going to show that when we get to the service price adjuster. Same thing I've noticed also people have done for consumer financing. If you are using any of our consumer financing, I know with WiseTech it is the 3.9% fee. So kind of the exact same idea with the credit card fees. They create a separate category that already includes their consumer financing fee. So going further into the book, I'm going to go, let's say, into this air conditioner one. And as we can see, I did have the ability to create even more subcategories, but this is actually when we get to what I call the bottom of the price book, when we get down to our services. So as you can see, a lot of these services, these all came from what House Call Pro already gave me. And I know this because all of these still have $0 pricing here. So I haven't made any changes to it. So this kind of shows you, if you haven't seen it before, what the generic House Call Pro price book will give you. Now, for some of these with pricing, we're going to take a look here at my AC service call. These ones I did get in here and start to kind of tweak a little bit to match the kind of business that I'm trying to offer here. So notice here when we're looking at a particular service, we can change our service name. There's the description here, so we can type out, something completely from scratch if we want. Or as we mentioned, one of the newer features is having the AI write it for you. So, the name of the service is an AC service call, and boom, right there. Gave me a nice little description there. So I'm going to say use this, or you do have the ability to go ahead and ask it to try something else. Task codes. Now, I've had people ask me what a task code is, and really, a task code is what you make of it. I tend to think of it, I try to explain it as more of kind of like a cataloging idea. So each service, similar to how every material is tied to some kind of part number, it's basically the same idea with your services. It's just a code that you can use to categorize or catalog your particular services. So instead of typing out AC service call, maybe my task code is like AC 101 or something like that. Now, without flat rate pricing turned on, we would not have access to labor rates or materials. We would just simply put in our service and it would show us something more along these lines where it tells us what that unit is going to be. So whether that's quantity, square feet, or each. So when it comes to the particular service, usually we'll have some kind of unit or quantity. Service cost, whatever it costs us to do this particular service, and service price so that we can go ahead and put it in what it is we typically are going to charge our customer for this particular service. But with flat rate pricing turned on, you can go ahead and put in specific labor rates. So for here, I do have my different labor rates. I have, my lead technician, my second lead technician, I have my apprentice, and I have my Profit Rhino labor rate. So for this particular service, since it's just an AC service call, I'll probably send my lead tech out there, and maybe I'll throw out there my apprentice as well. So I am going to show in the price book settings where you can put in your labor rates, but notice as I put these in here, it's going to go ahead and put in what that particular employee is costing me with their hourly price. These look a little backwards, so I'm probably gonna have to make these changes. But so we have our two technicians here, and then down below here for this particular service, I can go ahead and add all the materials that are associated with it. So here's my trusty thermostat here. I can put in any of the other additional materials from my material price book. Again, because in my price book, I put in what it costs me when I get it from my vendor and what I charge my customer. Underneath here, there is the booking and scheduling preferences. This is all for online booking. I went over this in depth within our sessions on online booking. So if you want to get a further explanation on what's more available in here and how this works, check out the online booking session that we did. But that's what's going to be down here. When we go back up here, if we are doing flat rate, we're going to go ahead and turn on calculate that flat rate price. And notice it's going to take all of the pricing from my labor rates here, and it's going to take all of the pricing from my materials. And that way, in when we are looking at our price book, we can see that breakdown of our labor, of our materials, and then when we stick this onto an estimate or to an invoice, the customer and technician isn't going to see any of this information except that price at the end of the day. In our price book, we can also see here our markup just based on those costs between our costs and what we are charging. And we also have our gross margin here so that we can see what that's going to look like. There's the taxable switch right there. So if you do push taxes to your customers and you always want this service to be taxed instead of having every time to go ahead and check that box, we can just check it right here in the price book so that every time it is added to an estimate or to an invoice, that box is already going to be checked. And then here's the new feature that I was just discussing is the commissionable feature. This will be available to you all probably after you all get the new interface. But with the new commission, I can go ahead and say that this particular service has a sold by commission rate of, let's say, 5%. And then for the people that actually go out there and do the work, they get 10% of the commission. So from here, we can go ahead and hit save. Notice, let me take a step back, is also up here at the top. There's a spot where you can add it to your favorites. And what adding it to your favorites is going to do is when you are on an estimate or on an invoice, as you start to type something out, your favorites are going to generally move towards the top so that way we typically don't have to go looking for these. All right. So that's really going from the top of the price book and going on in. So now I'm going to scoot over from left to right and just kind of explain the other settings that we can do in here. So as I mentioned, we have our services. And if we scoot over, we do have our materials. Now within your materials price book, if I go ahead and take a look at this and we look at our tools over here, same idea. We can build categories, we can build subcategories and get as granular as we want with this. And if we go to my trusty thermostat here, same idea. We can put in the name, we can put in a little bit of a description here of what that particular material is, put in the part number, put in that unit cost of what it cost us from our vendor. We can also put in our unit price. If we do have material markups, which I will show in our price book settings, I can choose to, instead of putting in my own pricing, I can have it reflect off of my material markups pricing. Same idea here, quantities. We can go ahead and put in what that's going to be per unit. There's also the switch there for if we're going to push taxes to our customer with materials, which I tend to see a lot of people do. We can go ahead and check the switch here so that, again, it's always checked for us instead of having to check that box. Also, there is that new commission feature, same idea. We can go ahead and put in how much someone's going to get for selling that particular material or installing that particular material. Moving on over to pricing forms. So in here, as I mentioned, it's really, I've seen this more for cleaning services, but I tend to find that it's very versatile. As you can see, I use it for a couple of other things here. So let's take a look at our home cleaning service. Now, with this, what it'll allow you to do is similar to our services and materials. We can go ahead and put in a particular name for this pricing form, put in a little description, automatically apply this to new jobs and to new estimates, make it taxable or any of the services that are going to be provided on that particular pricing form taxable, and as well as commissionable. Here's my little picture here. There's also a spot for the online booking. So again, I would recommend checking out the online booking side, but just kind of showing off the top here. Um, just really when we want it to go to online booking, is it going to book a job or an estimate? We can set up some questions for the customer to answer when they're filling out the online booking. And we can set up whether we want the service duration to be per field or have a fixed duration for the entire form. So what do we mean by that is that we can have each particular service have a particular time length. And if a customer opts in for that service, it's going to block off the appropriate amount of time on the calendar. We can also set up what employees are going to be available for this particular service or for this particular pricing form. So with these, I've got my lead team here. So that's going to be based upon any of our availability when it comes to online booking. But for the pricing form itself, right here is where we can start tailoring it. And we have our different fields. The first couple of options, well, all of our options here is we have quantity select, we have numerical range, multi-select, and single select. So I think I have an example of each one, so we'll kind of go through it here. So for my single select here, an example for this would be cleaning option. Do you want a regular clean or do you want a deep clean? If it's a regular clean, it's going to be no extra price. But if you want me to do a deep clean, it is going to be an extra price. Notice over here when it comes to those durations, as I was talking about earlier, is when it comes to online booking and just scheduling on our scheduler. Regular clean, it's going to schedule us for 2 hours. A deep clean is going to schedule us for 4 hours. Quantity select. So for this one, what this will allow is that the customer, and I'm going to show you what a pricing form looks like, but they can go ahead and select. So in my case, I have bedrooms, and so each bedroom is going to be $50. That way they can just go on the pricing form and go 1, 2, 3, and it'll go ahead and create a new subtotal based on how many bedrooms. There is also here, as you can see, my duration, similar to what we did for regular and deep clean. If they decide that they want me to do bedrooms, I have here that it's going to be 30 minutes a bedroom. Same thing here with bathrooms. That's in my quantity select. So how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many garages. Um, Then the other one we have here is our multi-select. So for this one, I have here kitchen options. And that's where I have oven cleaning, microwave cleaning, fridge cleaning, freezer cleaning. Customer can select any one of these options or select none of them on my pricing form. If they do, it's going to go ahead and put in that pricing. And then lastly, I have here is numerical range. And for this one, I've seen like lawn care, mostly for like landscaping. I've also seen this work for painters as well. So it's really where you can put in that quantity range of like, if you want me to mow your lawn, if it's between 50 square feet and 100 square feet, it's going to be $25. If it's between 100 square feet and 500 square feet, then it's going to be $50. And so how this is going to look is when we hit preview and save, is it's going to look like this. So as I mentioned, when we are doing a single select option, they can go ahead and just select from the drop-down menu. So we'll do a regular clean. Bedrooms and bathrooms. So 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, no garage. Kitchen options, maybe microwave cleaning and maybe oven cleaning. And lawn care, we'll just say no lawn care. So that was just a preview. I know we didn't really just build out a job, but I did wanted to at least show you what that looked like. Um, Moving on from pricing forms is we have estimate templates. And this is where you can house all your estimate templates. I have shown before is that when we go into a particular estimate, or we can from here build out our templates, is it's going to ask us to put in a template name. So we'll say our test, um, our training webinar. Okay, so there's our title, there's our pretty much kind of like our title for the estimate, and then we can go ahead and start putting in our line items. So for this one, we're going to use our AC service call that we were using, and let's maybe use this diagnostic call. Save it. So now there we go. We can always pull this up, and this is where we can go ahead and make any changes within our price book. Or when we are on an estimate, we can go to our estimates and our estimate templates and select it so that we don't have to build this from scratch. The other thing on here is the discounts. So this is where you can set up discounts already. So instead of having your technicians or your office staff have to create and apply the discounts on the fly, we can over here put in, like I already have my friends and family one in here, but we can always add any additional discounts by putting in uh, 10D discount. Congratulations, you everyone. You got a $200 discount. But moving on down, as you can see, we can set up our reoccurring discounts. So if we want to do weekly discounts, we can go ahead and put in our descriptions, exclude discounts on on the first visit. And really, that's what it comes down to is just being kind of your hub for all of your discounts. There is a place here for your service plan discounts. I've talked about these before on our service plan sessions, so I recommend checking that out if you want to get more on how service plan discounts work. So for the price book settings, that's pretty much everything I mean, these aren't the settings, but this is basically the books. But for our settings, the new button is over here. In the old view, it's kind of sitting somewhere around here within your price book. And I'll just say price book settings. But for our services, for the price book settings, this is where you can find the template. So if you are new to House Call Pro, or if you are constantly updating your price book, you can go ahead and get the template of the price book. Let me see if I can get that and show what that would look like really quick. But it would be a CSV file that you could open up in Google Sheets, or you can open it up in Excel. And basically, what it's going to do is show that industry. So, like I said, kind of the top of the price book, what that next category is going to be. So, if you create a category and then as you start to build out different subcategories, you can do so, which it does for me right here. But this is the template. If you put everything, all your data that matches these categories in correctly, what you then can do is then you can upload it right there so that instead of having to completely revamp your price book from scratch, you can just do it through the template in the spreadsheet. So that you don't have duplicates, here's how you can avoid that. You can certainly export your services price book. As we get into materials, you can also do this with your material price book too. But you can export it so that way you already have all of the items that are already in your price book already on the sheet, so that way you don't have to add them again to another spreadsheet. Can export with flat rate services. So just another way of exporting your data. I think that was our first session of this year, was showing how to safely share and transfer your data. So some more information on that, check out that session. But this is one thing I did mention earlier that I wanted to bring up is the service price adjuster. So as I was talking about credit card fees, commission fees, and consumer financing fees. This is how you can, one of the ways that I teach people how to pass this to their customer. Again, first off, make sure that that is legal within your state, city, and county. So within here, what I did is I went to, that was in my HVAC book, and I went to air conditioner with credit card fee. So I'm only targeting that particular category within my price book. And then I can increase or decrease my prices. So for this one, I'm going to increase it by 3.5%. We'll just go ahead and hit save. This will increase the prices by that amount. And boom. That box mentioned, it may take a couple of minutes, but it's going to go ahead and do so. So that is the way how to pass any additional fees to your customer without having to create a line item or have to figure out that percentage on your own. Going back into your price book settings, there is a spot for labor rates. If you do not see labor rates, it's because you do not have flat rate turned on. To turn on flat rate, I'm going to quickly sidestep. It's going to be over in your apps. So in the new interface, it's down at the bottom left. In the old interface, it's up here. It's the little box with the nine dots. And we are going to go to we're going to go to all apps, and you can either search for it, but I'm going to go to all apps, and we're going to go to flat rate pricing. And I already, it's already applied to, on mine, but if you want to apply it to yours, it's going to be a little switch right up here. All you have to do is just go ahead and turn it on. If you are a basic user, you do not have access to this. So, going back to the price book settings, Um, when you have flat rate turned on, that's where you can go ahead and put in your labor rates. Notice I have all those labor rates I was showing you earlier. And so I can go ahead and say edit, and that's where I can go ahead and make any adjustments to any of these labor rates. So I noticed earlier, or we all did, that my lead technician was getting paid not as much as my apprentice. So we're going to make that change right now. All right. Another thing you can do here within your price book settings is where you can set up your tax rates. So if you have a lot of taxes or you push a lot of taxes, let me think. I know Washington does it a lot. I believe New Jersey does it a lot too, and I think Texas. I could be wrong on that one, but I know Washington for sure. Pushing a lot of taxes, so you can put in all of your tax rates. Oh yes, also our Canadian pros. I know you all have your taxes up there. So you can go ahead and put it in your tax rate section so that you can select it when you are filling out an invoice. Commission rates within the price book. This is fairly new. So in here, we can go ahead, as I showed you all that new little feature. Again, I'm going to probably hold off on this for when we do a whole commission deep dive on that new feature, just so we can have time to see how all that's going to play out. But that is available here within the price book within those sections that I showed you. And again, not everybody has this yet. Materials, as I mentioned, just like our services price book, you do have the ability to download the template. You can upload it once you filled out your template, and you can export your already made material price book so that you can just make adjustments there. Also within the material section is where you can go ahead and put in your material markups. So I have mine in here. And this is where you can go ahead and set them up if you need to make any edits. So any of my materials that are cost me between a penny and $100, I'm going to mark it up 150% so that I get 60% profit. Anything that is $500 or more is going to be marked up 30% so I can get 23% profit on it. Then the last thing over here is the content updates. This is specifically only for Profit Rhino. So Profit Rhino does update itself 4 times a year. So when you do want to get those content updates, you just go on over here. And if you don't have the latest version, there will be a little button here that says go ahead and update. But with that, I think that kind of covers just about every inch of the price book and how to build it out. and take a look at all of the settings. So I'd love to see any questions that have come up. Let's see. I think I saw a couple pop up in our chat here. So first one from Sammy, any updates on giving office staff access to commission inside the jobs, but not to my sensitive financial area like my money? Honestly, Sammy, I've not heard any updates on that, to be honest. Couple of assistants here. See, Shannon, okay, I don't really see any other questions. Chris, any from Facebook?
No, I just dropped an inquiry though. An inquiry for your inquiries. So if there's anything we can help anybody with, now is the time.
I'm trying to think if there's any other like little tips and tricks about the price book. Yeah, really just kind of the biggest one is as I also kind of mentioned when building out your price book is how I was talking about the different categories with the different pricing. I've also talked to some people when it comes to like if we're going to talk about installations, sometimes people will have different services as different I guess like quantities, like maybe you're working on one duct and then maybe you're working on three. So instead of doing it by quantity, they may bundle it all into one service. So that's kind of another thing that I typically see a lot of pros do. Mm, But yeah, I mean, when it really comes to the price book, I always tell my pros is it is what you make of it. Like we give you full control. Whereas if that's something you're not interested in doing, then you would probably want to look into our Profit Rhino option. Oh, and another thing, now that I just think of it, is I get a lot of pros that t talk to me about getting sheets from their vendors. And so where I showed you where in your price book, where you can do those uploads, so in your price book settings, it'll most likely be in your materials settings. What you can do is you can get that download that template from us, and you could give it to your vendor if they're willing to put it in the format for you, or vice versa. You can ask them for a CSV file, and then you can put it into the template here and upload it. So that's another thing that can certainly help you save some time.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Um,
without no, I'm out of ideas, Chris.
yeah. I was gonna say I'll make a couple call outs that I just thought of. Kind of related, not directly related, but a couple things that are coming, sort of related to price book. We've got number one, a lot of people have been asking for, credit card surcharging, and a lot of people build the fees into their prices, into their price books, or depending on your state and local laws, maybe you do something else. But we are coming out with a sort of surcharge kind of feature coming very soon. If you want to pass those fees along, and we're also coming out with there's going to be a PO field on jobs, purchase order field. So I know it's been a big request from folks.
Yes, I've been getting that request for 5 years, so everybody should be jumping out of their seats right now.
Right. Um, yeah, quiet group today. Yeah, everybody's still here, still got a lot of attendees, but nobody's asking any questions. So, um, pros, if anything comes up later on, if you're on Facebook, drop it in there in the Facebook group, comment on the live. We'll keep an eye on the comments. Yeah, a couple of our upcoming topics. What are we doing next week? We are talking about kind of customer accountability, CYA as I call it. Just all of the different tools like e-signatures, terms and conditions, checklists, the DNS tag. We'll be going over all these ways that you can just kind of keep some accountability between you and your customers. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about reviews. We're getting a lot of new features to reviews. You're gonna be able to do some like Google first routing. We're changing how you can ask for review requests. We're really adopting a lot of features that like Podium and Nice Job have. So if you're interested in getting the lowdown on that, we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. I saw a hand raise, but I don't see any comments. So, oh, there it is again. Uh, yeah, yes, yes, roll. I'm sorry. I hope I'm saying that correctly. If you have a question, you want to put it in the chat. I see your hand raised. I'll give you a second or two here. We also have pro office hours. That's every Friday. I'll be there tomorrow. It's 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Come hang out with us for an hour. It's another great place to ask questions, but get answers from your peers. We've got a great group in there of people that come every week and network with each other, get tips and tricks, share advice. If you're interested in joining us for that, I can get you yeah, let me get you the link, Jacqueline. Get the link right now. Yeah, here you go. And same thing, just like this one, if you register once, you'll be registered for all of them. I recommend just like putting it on your calendar or bookmarking it and join us every week whenever you're available. All right. I don't see any other questions or any other chatter. So, Phil, you must have done a great job as always. So, thank you. Yeah, we'll see everybody next week.
Sounds good. Take care, y'all.
See ya. Oh, see your question now. So, the only way to change my price book, do it manually. Let's Yes, or let me connect with you after. I'll try and get you some more help. Either send me an email or I'll try and reach out to you right now and try to answer some of your questions, try to help you out here. All right. See you guys.